I want to talk real quick to the women who have ever wondered after a relationship ended if they were the problem. Women that know that they were not flawless, like you were not perfect. Maybe you can even think of something that you did that you regret. Like, man, if I hadn't have done that, who knows? If I hadn't have said that, if I hadn't retaliated, if I hadn't whatever it may be, maybe you wanted to show him that he couldn't do you like this, or how he made you feel. So you wanted to mirror back to him the pain that he made you feel. And now you're like, man, that wasn't even me. I was out of character. That wasn't cool. Maybe you were in a space in your life, you were depressed, anxious, still healing from a previous relationship. And you look back at just the overall quality of how you showed up in a relationship and feel like you could have done better. I want to talk to that woman. Because I did a master class. What your ex really thinks after fumbling you. And now I'm like, okay, I covered so much in there. I covered so much in that master class. But there was something I didn't really cover. And that was for the woman who absolutely may have been one to sabotage. You may have did and said some things that nobody should do or say. I want to tell y'all the truth from a man's perspective, and from a personal, as a man, and then also as a coach. I've been over 10 years. You can do things wrong and cause problems and still not be the problem. Now, let me give you an example. The sister that was asking this question, that she inspired all of this. Basically, she's having a hard time with the smear campaign. Her ex has done a smear campaign on her, but he's telling the truth, except he's telling partial truths. He's only telling the negative things that she did. I don't know how many of y'all have been in this situation, but you ever had somebody talk about all the messed up stuff you did, but they never talk about the ways that you came through for them? All the many times that you came through for them, all the good stuff, all the times that you held it down, all the ways that you could have hurt them and you didn't, the times that you spared them, the times that you defended them, the times that you protected them. Like you knew people that wanted to hurt them, sabotage, set them up, steal, lie, and you were the one that helped them avoid that, but they just want to hyper-focus on the negative. So this is kind of the situation that she was in. Her ex was smear campaigning her, but she had a hard time with it because she know she wasn't perfect. She know that she could have been better. She know that, she said some things. She know she wasn't her best self. She know that she a work in progress. And I said the same thing to her. I'm gonna say to y'all, just because you messed up, just because you absolutely did things that were not okay, does not mean you were the cause of the relationship ending, especially if, and matter of fact, I should say specifically if he didn't account for what he did. And he wasn't willing to put in the work that you were willing to put in order to resolve things. You see, at a certain point in a relationship, you can't control what's already going to happen, but you absolutely can't control what you do going forward. So at whatever point that he decided he was going to put down his tools to rework things, to build things, etc., that was no longer strictly on you, that the relationship now had to come to an end. He took what could have been a temporary issue and he made it permanent. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Again, this is not to say you were just this flawless woman and blameless and you have nothing that you can learn from that relationship, et cetera, et cetera. But if you at any point were willing to put in the work, to account for what you did wrong, to make amends, to show improve, and at that point he wasn't willing to, he was in sabotage mode or he was giving up, that's where you can make peace with it. Like, okay, cool, I've done what I could do. Whatever happened, happened. But the ending of the relationship happened because of that, not because of what you did. But let me tell you a couple of other factors that go into why a relationship ends. And again, sis, I'm saying this because I hate to see y'all blame yourselves because you are accountable. Your heart posture is accountable and growth oriented, where that means you got to be introspective and look at what you can do better. But you should not be blaming yourself for a man's scale for what happened in the relationship. That means this, and I'm going to kind of talk a little bit. Like typically I only talk like this to people who are on my master classes or maybe even my mentorship group, but I'm going to talk to y'all like this a little bit. It's more emotionally intelligent. But people come in with a scale on how they weigh things that happen in their life and in a relationship based on their own framework, their own paradigm. So basically put it like this. If you did 10 things good, right? You did 10 things that were loving, sincere, genuine, honest, caring, nurturing, soft, etc. and you did one thing bad. You raised your voice one day when you shouldn't have. You jumped to a conclusion and accused him of something when you shouldn't have. One thing bad. But he weighs that one bad more than all of those 10, 20, 100 good things that you did put together. You can't account for that. You can't account for, and this is really for friendships. Men, if you're watching this, this is for you also. But this is when you get that smear campaign from somebody who's trying to hold over your head what you did wrong, and that's what they want anybody who's willing to listen and know you by, that's their scale. They made that scale. That don't mean you are the problem. If somebody take it upon themselves to ignore the 10 years, the 2 years, the 1 year, the 6 months, whatever, how much time y'all spent together, of you giving them the absolute best you had to offer, and then at some point, you did something out of character. I'm not talking about deal breakers. I absolutely understand. You put your hands on that man. You cheated on that man. Something like that. I can understand that man saying, hey, that's a deal breaker. I don't care what good you did. It's not worth that. I'm not talking about that. I like to be fair. I like to be balanced. But some of y'all thinking about a night where you just turned the man down for sex, or you didn't want to cook, or again, you took a bad attitude with him, and he hold that over your head. No, that's his scale. I want you to release yourself from any shame you feel about the things that you could have done better. If the things that you did right aren't even taken into account at their full proportional value. You made his life so much better in all of these ways. You are a shoulder to lean on. You are a listening ear when he ain't have nobody else to turn to day after day, month after month. You helped him financially and didn't even look down on him. You gave him sex when you wasn't even horny or wasn't even feeling him like that, but you wanted to make sure he was straight. You was selfless enough to do that. You ain't have to. But then the moment that you did something that was actually wrong, there was no room for error, no matter how accountable you were, no matter what you were willing to do to make amends. That's his scale. That's his scale. You can't control what he decided to focus on. Think about it. You got people, I don't know if y'all ever been around somebody that's just negative. Negative. And you ask them, like, what's wrong? Oh, I had a bad day. I had a bad day at work. My co-worker was looking at me crazy. And then my boss, he put more work on my desk. Just something, right? Whole time they focusing on that. They scaled that away so heavily and they forgot they made it to work safely. Some people died on the way to work. There was a time when they prayed for the very job that they're complaining about. They got a job. They got an income. They got a way to pay their bills. They ain't got to beg. They ain't got to borrow. They got an income. Coworker or whoever or not, job, manager included. They got a job to look forward to. It's people out here who wish they had all the work ethic in the world and got no opportunity around them. They got a warm, safe house to come back home to after that day of stress, quote unquote, where some people ain't got that. Some people under a bridge. Some people in shelter. Some people couch surfing. Some people getting their kids taken from them because they getting evicted and their house ain't in order and stuff. But they got a house to come home to. And they got the full ability to go get another job if they want to. But all they focused on, all they've scaled is that horrible so-called thing that went wrong in their day. And they just negative. That's their scale. It ain't the day didn't do nothing wrong. Life ain't just treating them so badly. They done scaled the only little negative moments in their day to be a whole bad whole day. Not this moment wasn't my best. Not this moment could have been better. So you have people who do it. You have guys who do that in a relationship. Yeah, man, she was crazy. Bro, she wasn't crazy when she was giving you back rubs, and she was the one that had a whole lot of stress held up in her shoulders and needed that. But instead of putting that on you, she went ahead and just said, I'm going to go to sleep a little extra tense and I'm going to make sure my baby good. You mean the whole relationship was trash? Because she did this one thing wrong? And I'm saying if you did something wrong. A lot of times y'all ain't even did nothing wrong. Because here's another thing. You cannot love a man beyond his competence. You can't love a man beyond his ability to comprehend what value you're bringing. So a lot of times a man will scale the negative thing, if you did anything really that negative, because all the good he really can't make sense of anyway. Case in point, you want to help him get a job, right? He down on his luck. He ain't getting it done right now. You want to help him get a job. So you sitting there looking up templates for his resume. You may be sending him new job offers or something like that. Not offers necessarily, but you know what I'm saying? Job openings on Indeed or whatever it is, LinkedIn. You're trying to put him in the game. But if his competence isn't there, he may see that as, oh, you looking down on me. You think you better than me. You trying to act like I can't do it on my own. His competence just may not be there. You want to resolve conflict. You come to him and say, hey, babe, I think we can do this better. Whenever this happens, it makes me feel like this. And, that's not going to lead to the healthiest relationship. That's not going to help me get to the best version of myself. His competence can't understand that. So he says it's nagging. Lacey said helping him fill out apps. Yep. But you cannot love that man beyond his competence. Everything is just like, I only know 1.5 languages. I barely know a little Spanish, but if somebody came to me speaking Portuguese, my competence honestly isn't there to understand what they're saying. So even though they may be speaking words of affirmation, something really encouraging and motivating, something lovely, if I don't understand based on my own understanding now, not them, if I don't understand, it's going to come off as gibberish because they're trying to encourage me now above my competence. That's just giving an example. A lot of times, y'all be speaking to people who don't speak your language. And it ain't that you speak in Portuguese. You speaking emotional intelligence. You're speaking maturity. You're speaking conflict resolution. You're speaking fairness. You're speaking love when they were built on survival. You're speaking growth when they got complacent and used to their comfort zone. Y'all speaking 2 different languages, and it's not because you're doing something wrong. So whenever they leave the relationship, guess what their review is going to be? She just was not doing nothing for me, not able to meet my needs. You weren't able to comprehend what that woman was doing to try and meet your needs. Does that make sense to anybody? I told y'all I don't want to lose y'all. Typically, I talk like this on my master classes, or even better, my mentors, but my mentorship group. But okay, so you guys are getting it. And let me give you one more reason why you are not the problem. A lot of men will blame you for where you did or did not fit in their confirmation bias. Go a little deeper. The guy will come in with all these negative preconceived notions about women, and you come in, you don't fit those preconceived notions. You don't fit into that framework, but he'll make you fit, and now you're wrong. Or even worse, you won't fit, and then you'll get tired of him trying to make you fit, and then you'll say, I can't do this no more. And then after the relationship ends, he'll blame you for getting tired of him trying to make you fit into his confirmation bias. Give you an example. Gold diggers. Women out here, they just want a man for his money. They don't love him unless he got money. Y'all ever had a man that held that belief? In the moment his money got down, there was nothing that you could do to console, to soothe, to support him. He was such a nasty space because he held the belief, his confirmation bias was, you only cared about men for their money. Women in general, they must disrespect, they must neglect the man who don't got money. So his confirmation bias is really the problem. But whenever you get tired of him snapping out at you, if you get tired of him being in this depressed state or angry or pushing you away, and you say, look, I'm trying to love on you. I'm trying to support you. But you can't go to bat with me like I'm the problem. Now you upset, and now y'all don't work out, and he get mad at you. Yeah, as soon as I hear hard times. No, you just didn't fit his confirmation bias. Yeah, I know. Don't nobody else talk about this. Don't nobody else talk about this. You come in, you making more money than him. He feels threatened because of his confirmation bias. His bias is when women make more money, they think they all that. When women make more money, they think that they the man. Whole time, you ain't thinking nothing about that. You got your money so you can be straight and choose a man straight up on his values. Y'all's compatibility with each other. and not be coming from a survival mode or dependence. But because of his confirmation bias and that you don't fit into that, and now y'all are incompatible, he blames you. And go tell everybody, oh, yeah, you know, we ain't work out. You know, she wanted them to have, she got money, so she don't need no man. It's like those dudes that grow up, they rapping about, they teacher told them they wasn't gonna never be nothing. I got a dude, man, I remember it was middle school. This dude he came into class late whenever he felt like it, walked out whenever he felt like it. The teacher said, man, you need to tighten up. How you think you gonna, like, one day you're gonna be out in the real world, how you gonna succeed like this? How you gonna do it? This boy grew up talking about the teacher told me I wasn't gonna be nothing. No, he didn't. That was your bias. Your bias was when this man tried to discipline you, put you on the right path, that he meant he didn't believe in you and thought you wasn't gonna be nothing. Man, he told you to get back in class, show up on time, do your work. I don't know. Some of y'all, I'm going to lose some of y'all on that one because y'all ain't into rap and stuff like that. But that's one of the most famous lines. My teacher said I wasn't going to be nothing. Man, told you to study for a test or else you're going to fail. He didn't say you weren't going to do nothing in life. Anyway, a lot of men will hold a preconceived notion about women. And based on that, it colors their experience with you no matter how you show up. And now they blaming you after the relationship doesn't end as if you were the problem when you weren't. All women are gold diggers. Whole time, yeah, you want him to be productive. You want him to be ambitious. You want him to be resourceful. You want him to believe in himself. You want him to get up and try again, even if he does get knocked down. That's what gives you security. Yes, the money does matter. That's cool. But if it ain't there, you at least need to see the intangibles that let you know you're dealing with a provider at heart. The money gonna go up and down, but you need that man to have that heart of a provider. If you're going to be the softest, most feminine version of you. If you're going to be the best version of you, you need to know you're working with somebody who complements that. Meanwhile, if he has a confirmation bias that, you know what, without money, he's nothing, or women only want him for da-da-da-da-da, he'll block out all of that value because it don't fit. The single most defining characteristic of the human personality is for us to remain consistent what we believe to be true, who we believe us to be. If the man says, if the man is biased is that he's nothing without money, he's nothing to women without money, or blah, blah, blah. He will never get respect without money. There's nothing you can do to combat that. And so now he blaming you for the downfall of the relationship. He blaming you for being a modern woman that thinks, no, man, you held that. You didn't allow that woman to be who she was and show you who she was. Because you were so determined to make her consistent with the absolute worst of women that do exist that she never fit in with. And that's the funny part. Boy, that guilt be eating them up after that, boy. That guilt eat them alive. That guilt eats them alive. It just give it some time. And I'm going to say this too. A lot of times, before the guilt eats them up alive, they try to run from it. They try to numb it. They'll do things to, again, convince you that you were the problem, to get you to come back and give them another chance so they can kind of wash away how they treated you in a relationship and then rewrite it with a new relationship where it's really just about relieving their guilty conscience instead of that they truly love you, genuinely love you. They just don't want to feel that, again, I was wrong, man, I messed up, man, I made it seem like such a big deal when it was never a big deal. And they'll do these antics. They'll pull these tricks. They'll try to manipulate. They'll do all of these things. I talked about that in the masterclass now. I didn't talk about what I'm talking about right this second on the masterclass, but I talked about so much more, including what exes will do and what they'll say, how they'll spin the block, and the new ways they spin the block. That seem like they ain't spinning the block, but they spinning the block. They're hoping that you come back. And the whole time, what it is they're really after, what they're really thinking. I talked about that in the masterclass. For those who are curious, I just put it down there. Encore, it's in the comments. What your ex thinks after fumbling you, the truth. And that's free, by the way. That's not a product. I'm not selling you nothing. Free game. If you want to know the truth behind your ex's antics after the relationship ends, whether he jumped in a new relationship or, he's so much better off with it, I break it down there in that free masterclass, pinned down in the comments. It's also in the caption, if I'm not mistaken, if you don't see it down pinned down here at the bottom. What your ex thinks after fumbling you, because that's exactly what it is. He had you, he fumbled you, and now he's trying to convince you that you were too slippery for him to hold on to. When moral of the story is this. Yes, sis, you are imperfect. You got ways that you need to grow, ways that you can be better. Honestly, if you're watching me and you don't watch to this point, I ain't telling you nothing that you don't know. You are clearly a growth-oriented woman. You are clearly heavily invested and interested in being the best version of yourself. So I know I'm talking to the right person when I say you are not the problem. You did things that could be better going forward, but he played his part too. And if you were willing to be accountable like you are now, just trying to see if there was something you could have been doing better, but he wasn't, if you was able to admit that you did something wrong, but you were also willing to humble yourself and make amends through your actions, through your patterns, but he wasn't, if that man came in with a certain level of competence that never could understand you, comprehend you, or receive you from day one, so he was bound to have a bad experience with you in a relationship, there was nothing else that you could do to love that man. It's his job, and it was his job, to make himself more capable of receiving and appreciating the love that you came with to give. You are not the problem. But those are just my thoughts. I mean, internet big brother, just trying to look out for you, sis. I got your back. Again, keep your money, put it away. But all I do ask is that you pay this forward by hitting the share button. If you got something from this, somebody else can get something from this that you love. And that good karma gonna follow too. So hit the share button if you got anything of value from this. And if you want access to my free masterclass, What Your Ex Thinks After Fumbling You, about an hour more of free game. Hit that link right here, What Your Ex Thinks After Fumbling You, and get on over there and get more gems on exactly all those little antics that they try to pull, all those little tricks of the trade. I expose them all. Holla at y'all later, y'all be good. Peace.